Congregation of LaGrave, where does our help come from? Our help is in the name of the Lord, who made the heavens and the earth. Our help is in Jesus Christ, who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. I'm going to start my devotion on this Good Friday with a little bit of bad news. This will be the very last video devotion. The staff have been doing these on a very regular basis for more than a year now, and it was very much tied to the pandemic. It was our attempt to get ourselves in front of you and to keep some connection. But as the pandemic starts to move towards an end, Lord willing, and as we get back to normal, whatever normal looks like, it's time for us to stop, and more our time is taken up with regular ministry activities. But it's been a blessing to spend time with you, and I wanted to spend the last devotion talking about the cross and community and coming back together. Like many of you, I've worshiped in both ways over the last year. I've obviously worshiped here in the sanctuary more consistently than anyone. I've been up there all the time, but I've also worshiped in the pew. I've sat here with a mask on and done the worship. And I can say that for myself, I much prefer in-person worship to worshiping at home, just as a worship experience. The live stream is great. The live stream is wonderful. We are so thankful for Jonah, and we're so thankful that we have this equipment. It's kept us connected. But it's not the same as in-person worship. And I think one of the things I've realized about live stream worship is that it's a little too easy. It's a little too comfortable. It's a little too nice. It's missing some of the grit of in-person worship. What I've realized is, and when we haven't been able to see each other, I miss the pleasure of you. So I miss the good things about you. Each one of you is pleasant in different ways. Each one of you has good things about you it's fun to interact with you about those things. But we all have complications too. And I don't just miss what's good about you, I miss the complication of you. Part of what's good about in-person worship is when you're talking in the narthex, you see another person and you greet them, and you start talking about the fun things, the good things, the common things. But maybe your conversation also includes something else. Maybe I ask after your children, and you tell me about one of your kids who's really struggling and really having a hard time, and I didn't know that. And that burden becomes part of me. And as I'm driving home and maybe during the week, I think about that. And I find myself praying for you and for that child. I receive that complication. And maybe it goes the other way too. Maybe I tell you something about what's going on in my life. Or maybe you tell me something about, I don't really understand your sermon at that point. Help me understand this. Help me to go deeper with this. And that makes me think about how I can better communicate the gospel. Sometimes interactions are complicated, but that complication is part of why Jesus died, to create this community of people who move past each other's complications, who sharpen each other, who come together in spite of our differences. Listen to Paul in Ephesians talk about the purpose of Christ's sacrifice. As you think about Christ dying on the cross on this Good Friday, remember that creation of community is one of the essential parts of that sacrifice. Paul says, "For he himself is our peace, who has made the two groups one, and has destroyed the barrier, the dividing wall of hostility, by setting aside in his flesh the law with its commands and regulations." His purpose was to create in himself one new humanity out of the two, thus making peace. And in one body, to reconcile both of them to God through the cross, by which he put to death their hostility. He came and preached peace to you who are far away and peace to those who are near, for through him we both have access to the Father by one Spirit. An essential part of what it means to be in Christ and to be his followers and to be his people is to be able to come together as different people to feel the grit of community, to work through that grit and bear each other's burdens so we can find the oneness that is deeper than our pain and deeper than our differences. I don't know when we will all get together again. It will be a while for some of us, and it should be. But the day will come where we'll all gather together again, and we will experience both the joy and the grit of community, and through both of them, the oneness we have in Christ. And now, for the last time, the parting blessing. May the peace of Christ go with you wherever you may be. May he guide you through the wilderness and protect you through the storm. May he fill you with thanksgiving at the wonders he has shown you. And may he bring you home rejoicing, face to face again, once more.